Small towns have a unique kind of charm. The kind that makes you think, hey, maybe it'd be nice to settle down here. You know, fresh air, friendly neighbors, that whole thing. But then, just when you're starting to believe in the dream, someone like Karen reminds you why small towns can also be absolute nightmares. It all started on what should have been an easy, stress-free day. My mom had come to visit for the weekend, which meant two things. Firstly, she was going to judge the state of my fridge. Second, we were absolutely going grocery shopping. And sure enough, after one look inside, she gave me that look. The one moms have perfected over generations. You live like a bachelor, she sighed, shaking her head at the depressing sight of expired yogurt, a bottle of hot sauce, and an embarrassing amount of instant ramen. I shrugged. I am a bachelor. She ignored me and grabbed her purse. Come on. We're going shopping. Half an hour later, we pulled into the local supermarket's public parking lot. It wasn't fancy, just a regular old lot next to the store, no reserved spaces, no parking meters. You park, you shop, you leave. Simple. At least, it should have been. We found a good spot, went inside, and started our usual grocery store ritual. Mom wandered off to look at things she didn't need. And I followed, occasionally throwing in snacks she would pretend to disapprove of, but ultimately let slide. We spent way too long in the produce section because she had opinions about tomatoes. It was peaceful. Normal. And then we walked back outside, and I saw it. A car. Parked directly behind mine. Blocking me in completely. I stopped in my tracks, blinking at the sheer audacity. What? Mom frowned. Maybe they just ran inside for something quick? Then where's the emergency blinkers? A note? Anything? There was nothing. No hazard lights. No scribbled, back in 5 minutes, note. Just a big, obnoxious SUV sitting there like it owned the damn lot. And the cherry on top. The license plate. Karen. I let out a slow, deep sigh. Oh, Mom said, reading it too. That's fitting. You have got to be kidding me. This was not a mistake. This wasn't someone making a quick stop. This was intentional. I scanned the area, looking for anyone who might be approaching the car. No one. Okay, I said, exhaling sharply. No problem. I'll just find them and ask them to move. Mom nodded. Maybe check inside first? And so, with my patience still barely intact, I turned around and walked back into the store. I don't know if you've ever had to walk around a supermarket asking random people if they own an illegally parked car, but let me tell you, it's awkward as hell. Excuse me, I said to the cashier. Do you know whose car that is outside? The one blocking the exit. She didn't even have to look. Her face immediately twisted into a mix of annoyance and mild amusement. Oh, that's Karen's. I paused. Karen. Karen. She nodded. Yep. As in the Karen? Another nod. Uh-huh. Well, damn. That explained a lot. Apparently, everyone in this town knew Karen. And not in the "oh, she's such a sweet neighbor" way. More in the "ugh, this lady again" way. She does this all the time, the cashier added, rolling her eyes. She lives like a block away, so I guess she thinks she can park wherever she wants. I ran a hand down my face. And no one stops her? The cashier shrugged. Most people just wait for her to come back. Wait? Oh, hell no. I forced a smile. Thanks. And with that, I turned and walked right back out. Mom was standing by the car, arms crossed. Find them. Oh yeah. I gestured down the street. She lives a block away. Mom frowned. And she still parks here? Yep. We both looked at the car, then at each other. She sighed. Well, I guess we walk. Now, I didn't want to go knocking on some random woman's door. I really didn't. But my options were either A. Go find her and make her move her damn car, or B. Stand in the parking lot like an idiot, hoping she'd magically appear. Option A seemed like the better choice. So we walked. The houses in this neighborhood were standard small-town fare, cute little homes, tidy yards, the occasional American flag hanging from a porch. Pretty normal. Except one. Karen's house. Even from a distance, it just looked different. Messier. Unruly lawn, trash cans left haphazardly on the curb. The kind of place that screamed, "I don't care and you can't make me." I walked up to the front door and knocked. Nothing. I knocked again. Harder. And then, just as I was about to knock a third time, the door slammed open. And there she was. Karen. She looked exactly like you'd expect. Late 40s, aggressively styled hair, leopard print top, and an expression that said she was already pissed off before she even knew why. "What?" she snapped. "Ah. Lovely." I smiled. "Hey. So your car is blocking mine." And before I could even finish, she rolled her eyes. Rolled. Her eyes. Like I was inconveniencing her. I continued, forcing my voice to stay polite. "So if you could just move it, that'd be great." She let out an exaggerated sigh, arms crossing. "I was only gone for a few minutes." "Yeah. Sure you were." "Well, I need to leave now," I said, keeping my tone as even as possible. Karen just stared at me. Then, with all the grace of a toddler throwing a tantrum, she scoffed. "I'll move it when I have time." And that's when I knew. This wasn't just going to be annoying. This was about to be war. Now, I'm a reasonable guy. I don't start drama for no reason. But when someone looks me in the face and basically says, "Screw you, I'll move my car when I feel like it," something inside me flips. And oh boy, Karen had flipped the switch. I exhaled slowly, forcing a polite smile. "So, you'll move it now, right?" Karen smirked. "I said when I have time." "Yeah. Nope." "See, the thing is," I said, still keeping my voice light, "I have time right now. So I'll wait." And then, because I am the pettiest bastard alive, I stepped onto her porch and sat down on her cheap, sun-bleached patio chair. She blinked. "What are you doing?" I stretched out like I was getting comfortable. "Waiting." She glared at me. "You can't just sit on my porch. You can't just block my car." Karen's nostrils flared. Behind her, I saw movement. Someone else was coming to the door. Enter Karen's clone. Okay, fine. It was probably her daughter, but the resemblance was uncanny. She had the same sharp, disapproving glare, the same blonde bob haircut, and the same "I'm better than you" energy radiating off her like a toxic gas leak. "What's going on?" she asked, stepping beside her mother. "This man is harassing me," Karen declared. I snorted. "Oh yeah. Real terrifying. I knocked on your door and asked you to move your illegally parked car. Call the SWAT team." Karen's daughter narrowed her eyes. "You need to leave." "Gladly," I said. "Just as soon as you move your car." Karen let out an exasperated sigh, like I was asking her to donate a kidney instead of just not being an inconsiderate asshole. "You are so entitled," she snapped. I actually laughed at that. Me? Entitled? "Lady, you're the one blocking a public parking lot like you own it." That's when I heard another voice. A man's voice. Great. Now the Karen husband was joining in. The door swung open wider, and there he was, a guy in his late 40s, built like a former high school linebacker who never quite let go of his glory days. He had the same irritated expression as his wife and daughter, like they were personally offended by my existence. "Why are you talking to my wife like that?" he demanded, stepping forward. I sighed, rubbing my temples. "Because your wife is blocking my car." He puffed up his chest. "You better watch yourself." Oh, fantastic. We'd reached the hollow threat portion of the conversation. Mom, who had been standing back this whole time, finally spoke up. "Look, we're just asking nicely. Could you please move your car so we can leave?" And I don't know what it is about entitled people, but the second my mom spoke, Karen and her daughter latched onto her like piranhas. "Why are you even getting involved?" Karen's daughter snapped. "She can speak for herself," my mom shot back, crossing her arms. "And I'd like to leave. Today." Then Karen's daughter took a step toward her. And before I even thought about it, I moved. Not aggressively. Not in a threatening way. Just enough to physically put myself between them. A simple step forward, a shift in stance. And she lost her mind. "Don't touch me," she shrieked, recoiling like I just punched her in the face. Karen gasped. Karen's husband immediately went full caveman mode. "Did you just put your hands on my daughter?" "Oh, I literally just stepped between you two." Karen's daughter was clutching her arm dramatically, as if I had somehow assaulted her with my aura. "You think you're tough?" Karen's husband sneered, stepping closer. "I should knock you out right here." And that was when I decided I was done. I held up a finger. "Great idea," I said, pulling out my phone. "Let's get someone who can explain this to you." And right there, standing on Karen's porch, I dialed 911. And the instant they saw me press call, everything changed. Karen's daughter, who had been one dramatic gasp away from fainting, suddenly shut up. Karen's husband, who had just been talking about punching me, suddenly took a step back. And Karen herself? She actually looked worried. "Oh, don't be ridiculous," she snapped, but her voice wasn't nearly as aggressive now. I ignored her and spoke into the phone. "Yeah, hi. I need an officer at parking lot address. There's a car illegally blocking the exit, and the owners are getting aggressive when asked to move it." Karen immediately yanked out her car keys. "Oh, for God's sake, I'll move it," she barked, stomping toward the driveway. "Too late, lady. You picked the wrong guy to screw with today." I gave the operator a quick never mind, crisis resolved, and hung up just as Karen's SUV roared to life. And let me tell you, watching her angrily reverse out of the spot, glaring at me through the windshield like I had somehow wronged her, was delicious. She peeled out of the parking lot, taking her entitled energy with her. And just like that, it was over. Well, almost. Because just as I was about to turn back to my mom and say, "Let's get the hell out of here," a cop car pulled up. Oh. This just keeps getting better. Now when a cop car rolls up right after you call 911, there's always that moment where you think, alright, this could go one of two ways. Way number one, the cop sees the situation, tells Karen she's a menace to society, and maybe, just maybe, hands her a fat ticket to top it all off. Way number two, the cop listens to her crocodile tears, tells everyone to just get along, and I end up rage-eating an entire cake later. I was really hoping for way number one. The cop stepped out of the car, sunglasses on, radiating that I don't get paid enough for this energy. He was mid-40s, built like he'd seen his fair share of small-town stupidity, and had the name O'Connor on his badge. He looked at me, then at Karen, who had just finished stomping back from her SUV, arms folded like she was the victim in all this. "What's going on here?" O'Connor asked, voice gruff but not unkind. I opened my mouth to explain, but, big surprise, Karen beat me to it. "This man," she practically screeched, "harassed my family and called the police on us for no reason." I blinked. No reason. I turned to the cop, gesturing to the now empty parking space. "Yeah, so no reason other than the fact that she was blocking my car, refused to move, and her husband threatened to punch me." Karen's husband, who had just been in full-blown caveman mode 10 minutes ago, suddenly looked very interested in his shoes. Karen scoffed. "Oh please. I was going to move it." But then he got aggressive and started intimidating my daughter. At this point, I just laughed. "Right. I intimidated your fully grown daughter by standing still and asking you to move your illegally parked car. How terrifying." Karen's daughter, who had apparently decided to double down on the performance, sniffled. I thought he was going to hit me. I nearly burst out laughing. O'Connor didn't even flinch. He just looked at me, then back at Karen's family, his expression unreadable. Then he exhaled sharply. "Karen," he said, rubbing his temples like this wasn't his first Karen rodeo, "how many times have we talked about this?" Oh. I perked up. Wait. This isn't the first time. O'Connor ignored me, but Karen's face? Priceless. She went pale for a second, then immediately switched into offended outrage mode. "I don't know what you're talking about." The cop just stared at her. "Ma'am," he said flatly, "we have at least 4 complaints about you blocking that lot. Last time, you got a warning. And now here we are again." I couldn't help it. I let out a low whistle. 4 complaints. Yikes. That's almost impressive. Karen glared daggers at me. O'Connor sighed. Sir, he said, turning to me now, do you want to press charges for the threats? I stole a glance at Karen's husband, who looked like he was deeply regretting every life choice that led him to this moment. I smirked. Nah. I think watching his wife get a ticket will be punishment enough. Karen choked. What? The cop pulled out his beautiful, glorious little notepad. Ma'am, you're getting a citation for illegal parking and obstruction. You can't be serious. O'Connor didn't even look up as he kept writing. If you argue, I'll add disorderly conduct. Karen literally stomped her foot. Like a toddler. This is discrimination. O'Connor sighed the kind of sigh that only underpaid public servants dealing with morons can manage. It's a parking violation, ma'am. She turned to her husband for support, but the man wasn't even looking at her anymore. He just stood there, arms crossed, silently accepting defeat. I swear I saw his soul leave his body. 2 minutes later, Karen had a nice, fresh $250 fine in her manicured hands. And the best part? O'Connor turned to me and said, anything else? I grinned. Nope. I think that about covers it. Karen looked seconds away from spontaneous combustion. Her daughter was muttering something under her breath. Her husband looked like he was trying to astral project himself into another dimension. And me? I was having the time of my life. Mom and I walked back to the car, and just as I was about to get in, I turned to her. Cake? I asked. She grinned. Cake. And as we drove off, I took one last look at Karen standing there, still fuming, still gripping that ticket like it was a personal betrayal. Best grocery run ever.